Hello and welcome back to Unbox the podcast. I'm your host, Sahar Palmer, intuitive life mentor and best-selling author. You're listening to season 2025, episode 25, and we're going to continue with this year's theme, the power of your story. Last episode, we talked about intuition, the whisper from within, and how inner guidance is how you respond to that whisper. But what's next? What happens when you start taking steps towards rebuilding your life around the real you and doubt creeps in? That's what we're going to talk about today, because this is the phase where many of us stagger. Before I begin, I want to thank many of you who've sent me messages and left comments on Spotify. They're really valuable, and I can't tell you or express my gratitude how wonderful it is to know who's listening and what they're looking for. So thank you again. You've had your awakening, you've heard your inner voice, you've made a choice. But now it's getting real. You're leaving the old programming, your usual involuntary responses, and you start to panic. Am I doing the right thing? Is this who I really am? What if I get it all wrong? What if no one likes me or approves of me? Sounds familiar? Let's slow that down. Let's slow down the voice of doubt. Here is something I would like you to understand. Doubt doesn't mean you're off track. It often means you're actually on it. When you step into a new way of thinking, especially one that isn't about performance or pleasing others, your nervous system doesn't recognize it. Your brain must work harder to forge new neural circuits, new networks. So it chooses not to do that. This space feels unfamiliar. And this means risk or instability. And so your mind kicks in asking questions that are really about your safety. Can I really do this? What if people don't understand me? What if I fail? That, by the way, is not the real you speaking. That is your conditioning trying to keep you safe by pulling you back to the space that you know, to the past. Let's talk about who you really are. Who is the real you? The real you isn't a role or a job title or a personality type. The real you is the awareness behind the masked identity or the role you're used to playing. It is that part of you that observes you, that feels, senses, and knows, not logically, but intuitively. It's your mind taking over, directing instead of your unconscious. It is your unconscious waking up and taking control. They say that we operate 95% by our unconscious. I don't know how that would be measurable, but there we are. It's an indication that our brain is made to take the path of least resistance, if you like, for survival. But that was way then, when we were in the jungle. We were under serious threat of predators. However, thanks to evolution, we have the neocortex now, which in part is what makes us unique as human beings, because it gives us the ability to self-soothe, to calm ourselves down. So use it. It's built in already. A client once said to me, I've been a high achiever all my life, but now that I'm not chasing the next promotion, I don't know who I am. That is actually a good place to be, because when everything external is stripped away, you get to define yourself from the inside out. So I asked her, what if you're not here to achieve anymore, but to be more? That changed everything. Sometimes you start recognizing who you are, the real you, by who and what you left behind. The baggage that you dropped, remember 2 episodes ago? The baggage you dropped lets you know who and what was weighing you down, who and what was slowly sucking the life out of you. It could be a job you left or were pushed out of, a colleague, a boss, a friend whom you thought you were so close for so many years, until you could no longer tolerate what you used to overlooking. A marriage or an identity built for years that no longer fits. Maybe it took its toll on your health. Or perhaps your children, grandchildren grew up and now you suddenly find yourself living with someone that you don't know anymore. Their identity, your identity, has changed and evolved over the years. Maybe you grew apart from your partner because you were so focused on your career path that it consumed your time, your energy, while your life passed you by. You ended up repeating your days, missing out on areas where you could grow and thrive as a human being. It's not easy. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in the space in between, ready to build a new life. And that is progress. That's when you start asking the right questions, the questions that matter. And as I usually tell my clients, when you ask the right questions, you start getting the right answers. When you begin having a conversation that matters with yourself, this is when you take over and you start directing your life's journey. A close friend once told me that before COVID, his next goals were to buy a Tesla and a luxury watch that he really wanted. But during lockdown, he got thinking about his life and he started asking himself what really mattered to him. He realized that it wasn't what success or joy meant to him. Other things were more important to him: his children, his partner, where he lived, how he lived. He ended up canceling both. I want to tell you about this mirror exercise. Here is something you can try right now if you're not jogging or driving. If you're listening to Unbox the podcast while you're out on your daily walk, as I know some of you do, then find a bench and sit down. Sit down for a moment. Take a deep breath and just let go of your day. Imagine that you're standing in front of a mirror. Better still, if you can stand in front of a mirror, do so when you have time. Look at yourself, look yourself in the eyes, and ask, when no one is watching, I want you to ask yourself, who are you? And pause for a bit. Keep looking at your eyes. Keep looking into your eyes. Notice what comes up. Then ask, what do I love? What feels true to me? Write it down. No filters. Just write down whatever came off the top of your head so that you keep it in front of you and you remember what you really love and what matters to you. Very often you might find a word that describes who you really are. Find it. Keep asking. Keep looking into your eyes until you gain clarity. That's your higher mind speaking, your infinite consciousness, if you like. It may not be clear at first, but keep asking. Every time you look into the mirror, keep asking and keep listening. That's how we start defining the real you. The eyes, they say, are the mirror of the soul. Use them to communicate deeply with yourself, to know and understand what they're trying to tell you. I don't know if you noticed, but I always had this hypothesis that the physical body has got a vulnerable spot, like Achilles' heel, that serves as giving us a sign when we're off track. When something is off, when something is not quite right. For example, I know when I'm coming down with something, when I'm suddenly aware of my belly button. I don't know why. Maybe it's that umbilical cord area. I feel something is wrong, and soon enough, something develops 2 days later. And I know when the back of my left ear itches like mad. I know something is stressing me, something or someone. And then I start asking the right questions. What is it showing me? What is this about? Or when my broken wrist hurts, I know that the weather is changing. It's either going to rain, if I was in England, or humidity is rising since I'm in Dubai now. Do you have an Achilles heel spot like that? Become aware of what your body is trying to communicate to you. But the eyes are really something else. They're not the same every day. They never hide anything. Their brightness changes, they're either dim or they're glowing, the iris changes in size. And if you get used to monitoring the look coming from your eyes in the mirror, you will know what's going on. You will know if you're being true to yourself or if you're suppressing what you need, what you desire, simply because you want to fit in that usual identity that you have outgrown. So you don't have to get everything right. Let me really emphasize this. You're not building a perfect version of yourself. You're building a life that fits who you are. And that takes real experimentation, trial and error, compassion. You're not meant to have it all figured out. What matters is that you stay in conversation with your inner self. You stay in alignment with your vision that your heart and your eyes are communicating. When doubt creeps in, meet it with curiosity. Ask yourself, is this fear trying to protect me, or is it a sign that I need to pivot? The answers will be quite different. That's how you stay aligned, not by eliminating doubt, but by understanding it. Let me share another client story with you. It might help you find your real voice. My client was a successful entrepreneur, very logical, very driven. After a burnout, he came to me saying, I don't know what I want anymore. We worked through the 4 dimensions of change methodology, or BIMA, starting with the body. He realized he hadn't been breathing properly in months. His body was always tense, braced for the next challenge. So we did some breath work together, some movement, some grounding, then came to the emotional level. Underneath the burnout was grief, not from failure, but from living a life where he was disconnected from what actually mattered to him. And the mind dimension, well, full of overthinking. Accountability was missing. He hadn't made space to be still and listen to himself. But as soon as he did, his real voice came through, quiet, gentle, and certain. He's now designing a simpler business model and teaching others to reconnect with their truth. That's rebuilding from the real you. If you are in the space of rebuilding and wondering who the real you is, book a discovery session with me. It's not therapy, it's mentorship. Together, we'll use the 4 dimensions of change, your body, your emotions, mind, and accountability to actions to uncover the real you underneath with clarity. Please go to saharhunaidi.com/shop and click on Discovery Session. You don't have to do this alone. So let's wrap this episode up. Rebuilding after such an awakening is not a straight line. It's a dance between remembering and forgetting. Doubt isn't failure, it's part of the process. So keep showing up. Keep asking the deeper questions that matter. Keep reconnecting with your inner self. Keep listening. Keep watching, observing your eyes, and try and communicate with yourself. And do what is possible for you to do right now under your current paradigm. Now is where the future is planted. Keep taking actions, and you will get responses that you can modulate or fine-tune the steps that you're making. Because the real you is already here. It's been always here. Beneath the noise, always here. And let me remind you, rewrite your story, reclaim your power. If this episode has helped you, I'd love for you to do 3 things. Share it with someone who's rebuilding right now. Click subscribe. I know 50% of you are listening, but you haven't subscribed yet. It helps others to find this podcast, and that means a great deal to me as an independent podcaster. Thank you for listening. Until next Tuesday, stay open, stay curious, and keep unboxing.